Thomas Edward, Patrick Brady Jr., the undisputed GOAT in the National Football League, the 45-year-old quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the team that should now be favored to win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl, is back. Folks, I got to tell you, I never in my wildest dreams imagined that Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. would leave the game of football before walking off the field with another Lombardi trophy. I never in my life imagined Tom Brady leaving the NFL after losing in a divisional game, after he all time goaded down 27-3 midway through the third quarter, down 24 points in that ball game to the eventual Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. Tom Brady did what Tom Brady always does and brought his football team back. If it wasn't for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, Tom Brady could have been playing against the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. And if that happens, I believe we would have gotten a Buccaneers Bengals Super Bowl. Now, listen, we all wanted a Brady Aaron Rodgers NFC Championship rematch. That did not happen because Aaron Rodgers crapped the bed. That did not happen because Tom Brady's defense crapped the bed the next day against the Rams. But I do believe that next year, the NFC Championship game will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers visiting Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. Listen, I've said this all along. The NFC is a lot weaker than the AFC. You take a look at those quarterbacks in the AFC, whether it's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Ryan Tannehill, Trevor Lawrence, who I believe will be up there eventually soon in Jacksonville now that he has the right offensive-minded coach in Doug Peterson. You know, there's still good teams out there like the Patriots, like the Browns. Who knows what Mike McDaniel is going to do in Miami? So the AFC is absolutely loaded. In the NFC, you have what I believe are the Bucks. You have the Packers, and you could throw in the Rams in there, though I certainly do not think the Rams will be as good as they were last year. We saw with Tampa Bay last year. When you win the Super Bowl, you're never the same team the year after. I think the Rams take a little bit of a step back. San Francisco, listen, I love Trey Lance. I loved him coming out of college at North Dakota State. But who knows how good he's really going to be. We're going to have to see him on film in real games throughout a 17-game season to get a real gist if San Francisco is legit or not. See, we had San Francisco in there. Arizona, who knows what the hell is going on with Kyler Murray? I mean, Arizona's a good team. Are they a great team? They certainly don't have the greatest coach, in my opinion, in Cliff Kingsbury. And then you have teams like Dallas, and we're going to get to this in a second. Dallas just repaid Michael Gallup, but they give up on Amari Cooper. They send him to the Browns for basically a fifth-round pick, which I don't understand that value at all if you're Jerry Jones in Dallas. So I think Tom Brady looked around the landscape as I have in the NFC. And I said, Minnesota isn't very good. Chicago isn't very good. Detroit isn't very good. This is why Aaron Rodgers went back to Green Bay. In the NFC South, the Saints don't have a quarterback. The Panthers don't have a quarterback. Atlanta's got an aging quarterback in Matt Ryan. Now, maybe the NFC South does add a quarterback. Maybe one of the Saints or the Panthers goes out and gets Deshaun Watson. I think personally, Houston is asking way too much for Deshaun Watson, even though he got cleared of his criminal charges. I still think he could be taken to civil court. I don't think he necessarily was suspended last year by the NFL. Houston just kind of held him out. It'll be interesting to see if he does get suspended this season, how that affects his trade value. So there's a lot of dominoes to go. But right now, let's just say the Saints and Panthers don't have a quarterback. I already mentioned to you the NFC North, the outside of Aaron Rodgers, doesn't really have a quarterback. So right there, you got Green Bay and Tampa Bay already, to me, as two locked-in playoff teams. Seattle is not going to be very good next year. So then you're down to the obvious. The Rams, Niners, and Cardinals, which all three of them may make it from the NFC West. So there is, in my opinion, 5 playoff teams. And then the NFC East will obviously have one representative, which I believe will be Dallas. And the Eagles, I believe, will be that second representative. So there's your 7 playoff teams. And it is pretty much the same 7 playoff teams, and I believe it is, that made the playoffs last year in the NFC. Now, we know that's unlikely to happen, but the NFC right now is unprecedentedly weak compared to the AFC, and this is definitely, without a doubt, Tom Brady's best chance to make it back to a Super Bowl. I've been saying before Brady went back to Tampa, it was the Packers and Rams kind of in that big NFC class, and everybody a titch below them. I would now add Tampa Bay to that category, and I would put Tampa Bay just a little bit above Green Bay and the Rams to be the favorite. Now, do I think they're going to have the best regular season? No. Tom Brady's teams never had the best regular season. I think that they will win 11, 12 games. Do I think that will be more than Green Bay? No. So I think Green Bay has the better regular season. But if you guys listen to the podcast that I was on yesterday with our friend Austin Arnold from Let's Get It Straight, we talked about the fact that Aaron Rodgers has 4 MVPs, yet he only has 1 Super Bowl appearance. It's not good enough. I don't care about regular season success. I don't care about regular season awards. The would-be MVP of last season, of what I believe should have been Tom Brady and not Aaron Rodgers, is back. I think Tom Brady has a great chance to win MVP again this season. Football is in the right place, folks. We have the GOAT back. The Bucs are back, and it makes the NFC conference a little bit stronger. It's another obstacle for a team like Philadelphia or a team like Minnesota or a team like that that's trying to get into the postseason and get better, which Minnesota obviously just signed Kirk Cousins to a 1-year extension. I don't love that deal for them. I think that will backfire, but it makes another obstacle for that team trying to get into the postseason. Now that we know that Brady is back, and definitely for his division foes with Atlanta, the Saints, and Carolina, it is one more year where they're going to have to stay behind because the Bucs are going to run the NFC South, and I believe they will be a representative in Super Bowl 57 representing the NFC. Okay, well, not only did the Tom Brady news drop last night, but before that, about 24 hours before that, on Saturday, Amari Cooper news dropped. And Cleveland Browns fans were jumping up and down, saying, we got Amari Cooper. We got Amari Cooper. We're good. We're good. We're good. Folks, I'm here to tell you, I watched Amari Cooper since the middle of the 2018 season when he was acquired by the Dallas Cowboys for a first-round pick from the then Oakland Raiders. Amari Cooper played in mid-2018, 2019 full season, 2020 full season. Now, that was obviously without Dak Prescott, but then 2021 full season with Dak Prescott. That's 3.5 seasons. I got to see Amari Cooper as a Dallas Cowboy up and close playing my division, the Philadelphia Eagles, 2 times a year. I am here to tell you, Amari Cooper is a number 2 wide receiver. He was a number 1 wide receiver in Dallas, and there is a huge, huge difference when it comes to that. Jarvis Landry is a good number 2 wide receiver. Last year, after Odell Beckham left, he was a number 1 wide receiver. And because of his injuries, he was never the same. Amari Cooper is a pretty good, solid, very good number 2 wide receiver. He does not have that DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill like dog in him. And that is what will mistake the Browns. Now, I give you, Andrew Berry and company got him for a 5th-round pick. That is great value. I would take him for a 5th-round pick. But I'm also here to tell you, Amari Cooper will not change the world for the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns better not be done making moves. Amari Cooper better not be the only wide receiver they pick up in free agency or the draft. What Amari Cooper was is the start of rebuilding an offense. Hopefully, an offense that is dedicated around the passing game and getting the ball to your wide receivers rather than the running game and the tight end like it's 1970 for Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns. The NFL world is changing. This draft is stacked, absolutely loaded with wide receiver talent. The best free agent out there is Allen Robinson. Would I be mad if the Browns paid money, went out and got Allen Robinson from the Chicago Bears, who I think he is Alshon Jeffrey when the Philadelphia Eagles signed him in 2017. I think he is a borderline number one wide receiver. I'd put him in there, who just needs a quarterback. It's funny how that works, right? He comes from Chicago, where the Bears, Justin Fields, we don't really know how good Justin Fields is going to be. You know, he's with a defensive-minded head coach in Matt Eberflus, with an offensive head coach in Matt Nagy, who I never thought should have been fired in the first place. Fields was okay. He wasn't great. I particularly at Ohio State, I know a lot of people loved him. I was not the biggest fan of him, just like I was never the biggest fan of Dwayne Haskins, just like I was never the biggest fan of Daniel Jones, just like I was never the biggest fan of Josh Rosen. Seem to be right on that. I was never the biggest Justin Fields fan. I thought just his play, his arm strength, I thought he was a very limited quarterback. I think he needs a lot of support around him to be great. And that Bears organization is certainly a disaster. If he would have went to New England or, San Francisco, I could have seen it work, but necessarily not Chicago. Saying that, if the Browns go out and they get Allen Robinson, who again I think just needs a quarterback to be very special in this league, whether he goes to a better quarterback like in Arizona or even a Denver, if they want to add another wide receiver, or Buffalo or Kansas City or one of these places, LA, wherever, cool. I want him to come to Cleveland and play with Baker Mayfield. I think he will make Baker Mayfield a better quarterback. Because do I believe the Browns are going to get Deshaun Watson? No. I just got done saying in the last topic that I would not give up 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. I think Houston is steadfast that Seattle, got 2 first-round picks for Russell Wilson, and they can easily get 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. I think 3 first-round picks for a quarterback who has never really elevated talent around him, especially when he did not have DeAndre Hopkins that last year. I know he led the league in passing yards, but it was a lot of garbage time yards, and the team wasn't necessarily great. So I think that there could be some trouble stewing there as you take a look into the Deshaun Watson numbers. But the fact of the matter is, again, Amari Cooper is not going to change life for the Browns. If the Browns want to go out and sign Allen Robinson, and then you also go out in the draft in the first round, you get a Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State or Jameson Williams out of Alabama. Totally fine with that as well. The Browns need to rebuild their wide receiving core in the offseason. We all knew this. We know Amari Cooper is a start. He is not the number one. He should not be the number one, because if he is, it's not going to change your life. The offense needs to change. It needs to be more pass heavy. It needs to be more simple concepts. It needs to be more get the ball out of your hands to protect the quarterback, whether that is Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, or another quarterback. And Amari Cooper is a very good number 2. If Amari Cooper is against your number 2 corner in the NFL, you're going to have a lot of success. Now, Amari Cooper has played very well at home in Jerry's World. It's been his home for the last 3.5 years, and he has dominated at times a member of the Dallas Cowboys at home. On the road, whether it's been in New England where Stephon Gilmore locked him up and made him quit, whether it was in New York, James Bradbury locked him up and made him quit, whether it was in Philadelphia when Jalen Mills locked him up and made him quit, whether it was wherever he's been on the road, Amari Cooper has struggled. I don't know. Part of that is the cold weather. He doesn't like playing in cold weather, because when he was in Oakland at home as a Raider, he had the same problem. Played in nice weather in Oakland. Obviously, the dirt field in September, but mostly nice weather in Oakland. Goes to Dallas at home. Jerry's World, does amazing. Catches 8 balls for 90 yards a game and a touchdown. On the road, some games, he won't even register a catch. And that is why he is not a number 1 wide receiver. He is not a game changer. He is not a guy that you can count on every game for 5 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Some games he will overachieve. Some games he will underachieve. For Dallas, I think he actually makes the Cowboys more worse than he does making the Browns better. I think this is a bad move for Dallas. I don't think CeeDee Lamb right now, as much as I love CeeDee Lamb coming out of Oklahoma, again, I think he is a number 2 wide receiver. I don't think he's a number 1 wide receiver yet. He certainly has the case of the drought, especially for what they're going to consider now a number 1 wide receiver. They paid Michael Gallup 5 years coming off a torn ACL. Michael Gallup is a really nice player. He's a really good wide receiver, number 3. He's not a wide receiver, number 2. I get Amari Cooper was making too much money. He did not want to take a pay cut. Dallas simply just wanted to get rid of him. Now, could the Cowboys go out in the first round and draft a Jameson Williams, a Garrett Wilson, a Chris Olave, a Drake London? Absolutely, they could. And I could very, very well see that to replace Amari Cooper. But at the end of the day, folks, you need wide receivers in football in today's NFL. The Cowboys just got rid of one. The Browns gained one. He's a very good wide receiver, but he's not going to change life like some of you Browns fans think.